Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This is the Civivi Voltaic. I picked this up off of Amazon of all places. It was having a sale. This typically goes for I think brand new retail around like 80, 90 bucks or so. It was on sale for about half off for I think like about 40 something after tax. So I've had this for a while. I've been carrying it for about a week, and as you can see, I've been using it to cut oranges. It's one of my MOs, the things that I just sort of do, and it ruins my knives. I've used it to break down a couple of boxes. So I've been carrying it around for about a week, and I've been meaning to release a video for a while now. It's just, life gets in the way, lots of stuff going on, and, I make these videos late at night. So it's kind of tricky for me to just get these things created and made in a timely manner. I try my best. But anyway, about the knife. So this thing right here, it's not bad. I kind of like it. I picked the wood version just because I think it's a little nicer. Now it does have a coated blade. I'm really typically not a fan of the coated blade. But I think of the three versions that were available, the only one of them had a bare metal color, but I didn't like the color scheme of the handle. It was non-wood. It was, I think, maybe just some G10, and the steel liners were just white metal. It just didn't look as nice. So I went with this one. I really like the wood. I think it's just really classy. Something fancy. I believe it's like Chiburia wood, but it feels pretty good. It doesn't really do much for the grip, but this thing has pretty good ergonomics in terms of the way it feels in the hand. Now, you'll notice that the blade is thicker than the handle, and also there's a bit of thickness to this as well. So it actually feels really good in the hand. It just sits in your palm. It's sort of like holding like a really hefty marker with a pointy blade at the end. It feels quite good. It's very very comfortable to use. The weight on this thing is it's not the best, but I would say that it's not terrible. It should come in about 4 ounces or so. Yeah, 4.13. So it's really not too bad. And in terms of the blade length, you are getting about a 3.5. Let's see. Let's get the scale up here just to get a good measure of it. All right. We are getting, yeah, 3.3.5, almost on the money. So, you get a very decent amount of blade there too. In terms of the blade steel itself, it's 14C. So, very tough stuff, but it doesn't hold its edge very well. In fact, I had to resharpen this. I broke down, some cardboard over the past week, quite a bit actually, decent amount. And because of that, it got kind of dull. So I touched it up a bit just to make sure that it cuts. It does its job. It does what it's supposed to do, and it was pretty easy to cut. I use the Spyderco sharp maker. It's a very very basic, very very easy to use a sharpener. I use it on my kitchen knife, just to make it cut things a little bit better. It's definitely not a fancy sharpener, but for a beginner, for someone who doesn't really do much sharpening, it's more than enough. One of the things I really like about this knife as well is this fuller here. Now, because of that fuller, you can get your finger in there and do the reverse flick. Lots of fun. It's got the flipper tab. And it's in terms of flipper tabs. This isn't. I've seen worse. I've seen some better ones too, but it feels really good. Open it either way. If you really want to, I guess you could open it, slowly like that if you, really wanted to, something like that. Another thing about this is because this is Civivi, the budget brand of it has really good, detent. It's just, look at that. It's just so good. The action on it is fantastic. I also like the fact that it has this little groove for the little stopper to go ride within. So I think that really helps to improve, its action as well. It's just very very smooth, and even the liner lock, the frame lock, it's cut out to match with the wood. it's just like a lot of really small details that just make this feel like a really good, relatively budget knife. Um, of course, it could have they could definitely have done something with this to make it like super premium. Maybe go with like titanium for the inside, and maybe just a higher quality blade steel or something like that. But honestly, this is pretty good. I like it quite a lot. I've been carrying it for a bit over a week. It's my current pocket carry. I may, after this review, I may switch it up with something else. I don't know what I'm going to be getting my next piece, but I have not been disappointed by this so far. So let's do this. Let's get right into it. And I printed this out. Yeah, so that you can finally, get a better sense of it. And I'm going to change my score just a little bit, from a 1 to 5 scale to a 1 to 6 scale, because I have these dice, and dice are fun. So let's get through it. So materials. I would give this, out of 6, I'd give it a 3. It is a budget knife. We cannot ignore the fact that it is a budget knife. And because it's a budget knife, it's using some materials that, a bit heavier, maybe not as fancy. But you know what? They do the job. Ergonomics. I'll actually give that a 5. I think the ergonomics are quite good. It feels really, really good in the hand. The placement of the jimping, and there's a finger control here if you really need to choke up, and you can get a full grip on this thing, and the pocket clip is really good. That down curve that it has right there at the end really just prevents the hot spot from putting it in your hand. Again, this is not really something that I would really do a super strong grip on, but it is wide enough that if you need to, momentarily, that the ergonomics are such that you can do that with some confidence. So I actually think it's quite good in terms of ergonomics. Let's see, craftsmanship. I got to give it a 5 again. I'm hesitant to give it a 6 necessarily, just because I don't know. It's a budget knife. I feel like, well, I don't know. I shouldn't really hold that against it. I mean, maybe I do give it a 6. It is a essentially, it's a Wii knife, and Wii has fantastic craftsmanship. Fantastic. This thing doesn't have any sharp edges anywhere. So yeah, I think a 6 is warranted. Design. Let's see. I'll give it a 4. And it's a very safe design. The blade shape and everything like that. It's a very safe, blade shape. This isn't a knife that is going to be flashy and attract a lot of attention. If anything, the wood is the only thing that would really, catch someone's eye and make say, oh, what's that you got there? It's very, very subdued because of the dark metal and colors and everything like that. I think this is just a very, very solid working knife. So the design is a 4. Nothing super spectacular, but better than average, I would say. Versatility. I'll give that a 5 also. And really that's primarily just because of the blade steel. If the blade steel had been something a bit more upscaled, not D2, my thoughts on D2. But I think that if the blade steel was just a little bit more solid, I wouldn't mind the weight, very much, very much. But it is quite good. It does the job. It does what you need to. You can sharpen it very easily. You can even get one of those like little diamond discs. Like it's like a card, like a business card that fits inside your wallet. I think if you knew what you were doing to how to use one of those, you could sharpen this up in the field if you really needed to. So I would give this definitely a 5. Carryability. I've been carrying it around a lot, and maybe I've just gotten used to a heavier knife, but I will give this a 5. The pocket clip on this thing is fantastic. It is a bit thick, but because it's very, very narrow, the profile of it doesn't take up too much in your pocket. It's a bit weighty, and that's the reason why I didn't give it a 6. It's just a little heavier than I'd really prefer to carry. But I did carry this in my shorts because the weather's been pretty nice lately, and it didn't weigh me down too much. So I think I am likely getting used to just a heavier knife in general. Value. Now here's the tricky thing. I bought this on sale, and this is an old knife. This isn't. I don't know if they released this one with a new design or something like that, and maybe it warrants the full price on this. But the full price on this is close to about $100. A little under, like in the 90s. I wouldn't want to pay 90 some odd dollars for this knife. I don't think that that's worth it. But I got it for about 40 something. I definitely paid under $50 after everything. To me, that's actually pretty good value. Thing is, I want to put into factor that not everyone's going to be able to get this on a discounted price. I think Civivi actually they are selling this knife for around 50 something, under $60. So because of that, I am probably going to give its value a 5. Just because, at that price point, I do think that this arguably could be worth it. I don't want to give it a 4 just because it is a good knife. But at full price, I would not recommend this. I think that for $100 or so, there are definitely other knives that will have higher ranks either in the materials or the design. So you might get something little bit better for your money, at that price point. But at the price point that I got it at, and the price point that I think you can still get it at from Civivi, I would say 5 is about fair for this. All right, so there you go. That's a quick review of the Civivi Voltaic. Hope you enjoyed this review. Hope you like my new printout and my new 1:6 scale. And yeah, keep checking me out. And always check out my buddy over at the Pocket Bulge. He has some new content coming out. He's picked up some new stuff, and when he gets around to recording them, definitely check that out. Leave comments for myself or him, and I'm happy to do anything that you're interested. Well, I'll consider anything that you're interested in seeing. I don't know if I want to be in front of the camera. I think my hands are probably enough, and just showing the knives and showing you my ass. But yeah, so thanks very much. Thanks for the support. See you next time.